Hello, right back at you again with another video on the old world, this one on the meta overview on the second quarter of 2025 with the new FAQ and errata changes. Just as normal, as we're starting up, these are the assumptions that I make within while talking about the armies. I'm thinking I think that Grand Melee combined arms with the new GW missions from the Match Play booklet will become the new standard. So I'm assuming that you're playing them with them as well. Also assuming you're in a single tournament. And this was from just after the FAQ and Errata, which have been lovingly called to, the Old World 1.5 because of the many changes that are in there. I'm going to tell you all what I think about them from a competitive perspective. I'd also like to thank Martin from the Dutch painting community who painted up this, I would say, absolutely stunning Bretonnian Lord on a Pegasus. And I'll put in a few pictures of it in the slides for today for your viewing pleasure. Just want to tell you that I might be doing some hot takes today. I haven't had an opportunity to play any of the games yet with the new system. But this is what I think about the new rules, and I think I have a pretty good grasp of the changes right now. Well, what are those changes? To start, there's a 25% cap on unit size right now. So in the standard 2000 point games, that will mean 500 point units. I've seen a lot of people saying that this is a big dragon nerf. I don't think it's that much of a dragon nerf. There's only really two dragons, mainly the Star Dragon from High Elves, and definitely the Chaos Dragon, which is like base 485, which get nerfed by it. But a lot of dragons do not even like come close to that 500 point nerf. So their optimal builds weren't more than 500, so nothing really changes for that. I think the bigger nerf is to Death Stars. So, for example, namely like the Tomb King Poison Blob Death Star, who got hit in multiple ways, but this is one of them. You're just not going to see those like one unit army type of units anymore, which I think is great. I think it's just unfun to play against. And even though from a competitive perspective, it makes sense that people go to those sort of things, but I think it's good that there are rules in the game that stops you from doing that, because it's you want to play against an army and not just against one unit. Then poison is changed to from auto wounding on sixes, you get for each six you get a +2 to wound, which is just makes it worse. I've seen a lot of people saying, but no, you can get armor banes on all your poison shots. It's like, well, yes, but first I didn't have to roll to wound at all, and most shots, especially the poison shots that were good, were all strength 3. So most targets are going to need to be rolling those sixes at all to wound, while you first had those wounds for free. So I think it's a pretty big nerf, and the armor bane thing is not going to stack up, especially when you take into consideration that the +2 you get to wound armor bane only works on natural rolls of 6, so you do not get to like fabricate sort of like armor bane hits, because like getting a 4 making a 6 saying like, oh, now I got armor bane. No, you don't. It's only natural rolls of 6 that get armor bane. So that's a nerf, but I think a bigger nerf even is that where before everybody in your unit, as long as they were in range and like looking at a large target, could shoot, now just your first two ranks can shoot. And so now we're not going to see those like 60, 70 man poison blobs anymore shooting at things, because like 60% of them won't be shooting at all for the entire game, so that will just not be worth it. So I think we're going to see big changes for that. I think that's a massive impact to the game. And I think, weirdly enough, that makes dragons also better, because like one of their main predators, the poison blobs, are gone. Then we also, of course, seen a lot of infantry buffs. So we now get sporting attacks. So your second rank can do one attack. You get extra points if you have more unit strength. You get parrying. So if you got hand weapon and shield, you get +1 to your save to a maximum of +3. And there are some like sort of line hammer changes, which is a nerf in a way, because now you can only fight in a fighting rank if you're within your movement value from the enemy. Personally, I haven't really thought that like these massive like 30 40 man wide units where people were all sort of afraid about, especially at the beginning of the game, that you're not gonna it doesn't really work anymore, because if you charge them with a smaller unit, like only a small portion of them will get to fight. So that's changed right now. I think on average infantry will still do a lot more attacks, because now the second rank can also fight, and I think there's some units where we'll go into later which would still be absolutely great on. I think another big change for infantry is the whole challenging thing. So now, when you're in a challenge with, for example, a unit champion, how overkill works right now. Before, for example, when you charge with a dragon into a unit of infantry, you get to do your rider attacks, your dragon attacks, and your stomps, all of them. But now, when you kill your target in that initiative step, you stop. So, for example, if the rider does one wound to an enemy champion, like that's it. You don't get your dragon just sits there and does nothing. You don't get to overkill anymore. And I think, yeah, that's I think especially for infantry because they can stack a lot of static CR with like ranks and banners and stuff. So will be pretty good. Then we got some skirmisher changes. Most notable of them is now that when you want to charge with a skirmisher unit, looking at you, Pack Knights, you 50% of the unit needs to see it and not just like one model. So that makes it so like your Pegasus Knights do not like have this 360-degree view of death anymore, but you can maybe create some pockets for your units that they cannot actually see it. So it'll be pretty interesting. I think there will be some good gameplay, some good shenanigans being thought out with that. But it's definitely a nerf for especially charging skirmishers, and the only really good charging skirmisher unit in the game right now, I think, is Pegasus Knights. Remains to be seen how big the nerf is, but we're definitely going to see. Then we've also had some small point increases. Pegasus Knight, Dragon Ogres, Tomb King Tarians as well for some reason. Ogre Blade going to 75, the Ruby Ring going to 35 and going to power level 1. More on magic changes later. I think the Ogre Blade nerf is most significant, and especially in the sense that you now cannot go Ogre Blade, Illusion, Lore Familiar anymore. To be 100% certain you get Spectral Doppelganger on like a level 4 on the Dragon, for example, because that's 105 right now. You cannot take it. So people have to look for another weapon right now, and a lot of the time people took Ogre Blades to use with Spectral Doppelganger, so that you do not get to do that anymore right now. It's definitely a nerf. And the Ruby Ring also got more expensive and less good to use, so that's also worse. The Ogre Blade also, for example, it doesn't fit anymore next to a Talisman of Protection anymore, because that's 75 plus 30, once again 105, so yeah, you don't get it anymore. So those are all definite nerfs, which will change the game, and we'll hopefully see a little bit more variety in all those magic items that people are taking, because we've been seeing a lot of Ogre Blades and Ruby Rings of Ruin. Then there's also been some pretty big magic changes. Casting bonuses from levels have been capped and halved. So where level 4 first gave a +4 to casts, and now it only gets +2, like the half of 4. Level 3 now also gets a +2 because you round up, and level 1s and level 2s get +1 on their casting base. So that will just make magic a lot less consistent and just a lot less good at like actually getting your spells off. Another big change is that you now get to dispel vortexes. So as before, you need to be within dispel range of a wizard to be able to allow it to dispel a vortex. Now you also get to dispel the vortex itself, which makes just a lot of narrative sense and makes it a lot more fun. It's like you cannot like cast your vortex and like run away. Now an enemy wizard actually gets to dispel like the massive vortex barreling down on them, which makes sense. Several mystical pathways has also been nerfed. I made actually a whole video on it regarding how the rules should be interpreted. Now that there's a fact, I think we can say pretty confidently that sort of the broken variant in which you could teleport units like all over the board with it, but you have a big unit, was probably not intended. And now it's clarified that you need to be wholly within the 12 inches, making the spell still fine, I think, actually, but not like sort of army defining, game definingly strong. And I think that's a good thing. It felt gamey. It really felt fun, and I think there was a big difference between the armies that could get travel mystical pathways TMP and those that could not. So it's a little bit more of a level playing field. Pillar of Fire is also nerfed. It scatters randomly right now anymore. It scatters randomly now, so you do not get the pinpoint accuracy of it anymore. I think they decided it was a bad idea to have people control vortexes. So that's a nerf for sure. Some casting values have been decreased to take into account that you get less casting bonuses right now. But overall, the spells will just be a lot harder to cast, and a lot of less spells will be going off. There's a small buff. The miscast number 8 and 9 is now a little bit more forgiving. That's the one that says you cannot cast anymore. Now it's just that wizard cannot cast anymore. So if you have multiple wizards and you get a miscast and you get an 8 or a 9, at least your entire turn of casting isn't over. So that's definitely a thing. I think we're still going to see wizards, still going to be good. I think we're going to see more level 3 wizards. I think the upgrade to level 4 for most wizards, it's now 30 points to get an extra spell, not extra plus 2 casting. So I think level 3 wizards are going to be maybe even the standard, because like they're the cheapest way to get the best base casting bonus without like bonuses from other stuff. So I think we're going to see more of them. And maybe even level 1s and level 2s. They still have like the 18-inch bubble, which is a lot less good. So I think level 3s and level 4 will become the new standard. Then up to the tier list, what I think about the new armies. I think the armies got a little bit more level right now. Once again, I cannot go over every single thing in the armies. We do not have time for that, but I can. I'm gonna say a little bit about what each army is doing. As I said before, tier lists are oversimplifications. It's not that if you're C tier, you could never win A tier. How I like to look at it is saying that I think it's a really big accomplishment if you take like a C tier army and you win an event with them right now. You really got maybe some luck and some really good gameplay going on to be able to make it possible, while the armies in tier B and definitely tier A are the ones you expect to win big events. So that's how I choose to define them. And of course, we got a new army on the block, Cafe. So I'll also go into that and tell you what I think about them in a little bit. What I think is still the best army in the game is Tomb Kings. They're basically the same. They got a few slight nerfs, but another things that can get nerfed and are still very good. I think Double Dragon, none of the Tomb King Dragons went over 500 points or had like 2 up saves, so they're essentially not nerfed, so it's still great. A lot of those armies like ran a big poison blob as well in them. You do not get that one anymore, of course, or well you could, but it's a lot worse, so it's a slight nerf, but it's still very good. The Royal Host Death Star, like the 140 unit skeleton unit, is basically dead, because you really start bumping against like the point maximums of units within that army. So that's a very big difference. With Travel Mystical Pathway also changed, Poison Shooting also changed. I think the list is just dead, and I'm happy for it. Mortuary Cult has been nerfed. Main thing is that now you cannot do up to 3 wounds anymore to get plus casting bonuses. You used to be able to get plus 8 to cast with your Mortuary Cult, while other people only got plus 4. Now you can only do 1 wound for plus 1 to cast. You can still combine it with a Casket of Souls to get a plus 4 with your level 3s and 4s, which is still good, but not as busted as it was. They also lose their Poison Blob, which is kind of nasty. And Casket of Souls went from power level 3 to power level 2, which is not as good, but there are still like so many good units in the army. Boshapti remain unchanged, Orion remains unchanged, and currently Regen is worded in a way that you can also use for unstable stuff. I don't think that's intended. I think it's going to be fixed soon, but up to that point, yeah, it's going to be very strong to use your Regen like that, and you not have your army idle. So one of their main lists is that, which is a very unfun list if you ask me. Sorry, Denarius, you do not get to run it anymore. But for now, we still got some really great options coming from Tomb Kings, and I think they will continue to dominate the meta. Same for Bretonia. I think Pack Knight aggro, even though they got a little bit more expensive, is still going to be good. It's kind of hard to say if the skirmisher thing is really going to M-tech them a lot. I'm not sure if it will. It remains to be seen. But what is true is that they're level 3 wizards, and namely Elise Duchard, which is a special character within them. She actually has a special rule that she dispels at plus 3 right now. She used to be bad because she was a level 3 wizard, but now level 3s are basically just as good as level 4s. So she's going to be a very potent way of dispelling enemy spells and stopping like the shooting and going into Pack Knight. So that's going to be good. She also gives her like unit -2 magic resist and does other stuff. So I think she's going to be pretty good. And we're also going to see Outcast Wizards even more, I think. Like used to be sort of a downside of Exiles that you only get level 3 wizards, but now level 3s and level 4s are basically the same. Just get one spell less, which is like totally fine. That's good. There's been a nerf on the Falcon Horn. It's only one use per game right now, so you do not get to shut down flying for the entire game, which is a good thing. I think that was a pretty unfun mechanic, especially if you had like a Lovern Skycutter, which is a movement of 1. Like if the Exiles went first and they made it move 1 the entire game, well, that's not a game you're gonna win. I can tell you that much. So that's changed. It's just it's a good change, and I think Protonia aggro is still going to be strong. The first, I think, actual big winner is going to be vampire accounts. The main list they have Screaming Spam with like the dragons and like Blood Knight, with both with like a center of like Graveguard, a Mortis Engine, and Banshees behind them. It's just very good. Graveguard got even better. They also get all the infantry buffs. They were already played. They were already very strong. Now they fight in 2 ranks. They're going to be absolutely terrifying. So expect to see a lot of Graveguard in every Vampire Account army. And the Mortis Engine stacking, giving you plus 2 cast still works, so that's still strong. The only real nerf that they got is like the Crown of the Damned, the item to give the 4 board save to one of their Mortis Engines. It used to be like even with stupidity, you can still cast, you can still move forward, didn't really matter at all. Now, if you fail your stupidity, you cannot cast anymore, so that's a big deal. So I think that item is really not going to see it anymore. It's going to be a lot worse. So that's definitely a nerf for them. But all in all, like Screams and Arise are not nerfed and were already strong, going to be very much stronger. And Banshees are even going to be hard to kill without Pillar of Fire. We do not see how you're killing those things without having actually already won the game. So they're going to scream at you for the entire game. It's going to be pretty rough for you. So Vampire Count's definite winner in my book. Then we also have Warriors of Chaos. I think they're a small loser, not really for the reasons people would say they are. The dragon, the most expensive dragon, 485 base. I think he's nerfed. He basically cannot take magic gear anymore, which is for sure a big deal. But he wasn't played at all anyway. Like most people, like put their Chaos Lord on a horse and like gave him like extra arms and like ogre blades and stuff like that. So yes, he's nerfed, but he wasn't really played anyway in the best list, so it doesn't really matter. Dragon Ogre's got a little bit more expensive, which is definitely nerfed. Like it's like 6 or 8 points or something, so it's not going to really break the bank. I think the biggest nerf is that Infernal Puppet, like the item that made it so that before when you were within range, which was 24 inches, you had to roll an additional dice when you were casting and discard the highest, which is a lot worse than it actually sounds. Now the range is only 15, so it's a lot smaller bubble of anti-magic you're going to have. Don't know if they're still going to play it. I think they're still going to have a good aggression list. But I think for sure they're neutered a little bit because they lost a few things and not really got anything back. Then Beastmen. I think Beastmen are still sort of a winner from their very good Arcane Journal. For example, I think the Hearthstones are going to be very good. Valtide spam is going to be slightly worse with less casting bonuses. But I think Razorgores, Dragon Ogres, Skirmisher units, Valtide, especially combined with Infernal Gateway, which is not nerfed, is still going to be very potent and going to make it so Beastmen are very strong on the table. Then the new kid on the block, Cafe. I've seen a lot of like very angry words going around about Cafe, about it being broken and this and that. And I gotta say, when I first read the rules, I also thought like, well, this all sounds very good. But it's kind of very good until you start writing lists because Cafe is expensive, man. Like all the units are very expensive, and once you sort of write your list, you very quickly notice there's like not a lot in it and not a lot of models at all. So my, and this is really a prediction, I don't know at all. I think we may be going to see 2 main cafe lists. I think Meowling is very good, and I think we're going to see a lot of her. But I think you can build some like aggression list with like Sentinels, Lancers in core, and then some long mass supporting you, and just have like a go-getter list and just go hard. I think that will be the main list. Sentinels can still pick their spell, and they're actually power level 3 bound spells. You can take 2 of the Jade ones. It's exactly 250, so 500 points. So you can take 2 of them, and you like can pick something like Arcane Urgency or maybe another spell, like use +3 to cast on it and really go forward hard and get in there with them. I think that's going to be a list. And I think you could also go more shooting with like the balloon, spotting for you, multiple cannons, infantry. I think that list is going to be a little bit worse because like the only real shooting units you have are cannons, and as opposed to Empire, who do have engineers, there's no way for actually you to reroll like those artillery dice when your cannons might decide to do something else today. So yes, you can take your ogre loader and like double shoot your cannons for a turn, but that is 165 points, which is very expensive for just one cannon. You can only do that once per game, and you do not get any rerolls on misfires and stuff like that when you do that. It's still 1 in 6 to misfire every single time. So while 6 cannon shots a turn, definitely good. You can only do that once, but it's going to be yeah, pretty questionable how consistent it's going to be. Don't believe in all the hate of how broken Cafe is. Definitely a good army, and I think it's good to have a new army to be good, because else, well, people are not going to play it right because it's not very strong. I think they look pretty strong, but well balanced, and pretty cool to take on the other strong things in the meta, namely Bretonia, Screams, Mortuary Cult, all those things. Like if you compare them to that, I think it's kind of fine. Because I think sort of what happens with a lot of people is they just look at the data sheet and not at the entire list and just think, oh, wow, this data sheet's crazy. But I think the point costs actually offset everything pretty well. Then we've got what I think is the biggest winner from this FAQ/errata, namely Empire. I think the non-gun line, now with how things are worded, you can actually, because one cannon goes into, 2 cannons go into one special slot, you can actually create 6 cannons. You can take Hans from Low and Hakke to get +1 on your turn. You can take like a ton of Outriders also in core, and have like this massive gun line with not a lot of drops at all. So often you can get like +2 on getting first, and while having to weather like 6 cannon shots with engineers, so with rerolls to all your artillery dice, so that makes them actually very consistent and very good at not misfiring themselves into oblivion, along with Outriders and like maybe like one big blob of infantry with Hans in them as well, with all the new infantry buffs. I mean, that sounds like a strong list to me. I think also only getting level 1 or level 2 wizards is a lot less worse because magic is less strong overall. So I think the null gun line is definitely gonna make some health tilts, and maybe gonna think about if it's a good idea if we should allow 6 cannons in one army. I think there's also still an aggression like demi griff list, maybe with some steam tanks. But I think the gun line and perhaps the non-gun line list is going to be the main thing going to see. They also got some direct leadership buffs, like their generals and everything got a lot stronger. So I think the Empire players got a lot to rejoice about. They just got a lot stronger. Another army that got a lot stronger, I think, is Dwarves. Yes, Iron Drakes took a nerf. They went from strength 8, which was pretty crazy for shooting attack, down to strength 5 with some other nerfs. But infantry, like fighting in multiple ranks and all the infantry buffs, is going to be very good, I think, for Dwarves. Magic Resist 1 is better now still, because remember, before you went from 4 to 3, and now you went from 2 to 1, or 1 to maybe even 0. So because of how the maths works, that makes them even harder to cast on than before. They also got better dispels overall, with like the Anvil now like doing +3 dispels if I'm correct, and like dispels and all their runes being stronger as well. Makes them a good army with a lot of options. I think you can go gun line. I think you can go like mass copters. I think you can go like more melee aggressive with like hammerers and stuff like that. Now they all fight in multiple ranks. They all have 1 attack, so those supporting attack models just doing all of them sounds really good to me. Sounds really strong to me. And none of the nerfs really annoy them. Then I think High Elves is a little bit of a loser. I think the Travel Mystical Pathway nerf is big for like the Sister of Avalorn, like jumping around list. They were the only dragon who was able to get a 2-up save. It's now hard ruled in the game that dragons can only get a 3-up save. So you used to go full plate shield and dragon helm, and now that doesn't do much anymore. So that's definitely worse. And for them, because of the base cost of star dragons, how high it is, 500 point limit is definitely annoying when you're building one. I think you definitely still can, but it's for sure worse. And their other good list is Revelorn is also a lot worse. So it's gonna be hard for them. They took some hits and they have no clear um, other things that could be better. I think Orcs and Goblins are a big loser as well. They were an army with very cheap level 3 and 4 wizards, so now only getting 2 level 3s and 1 level 4 wizard like capped is going to be bad for them, because well, the Night Goblin level 4 was very cheap, but was casting just as well as more expensive models with the same caster level. The Poison Blob is also practically removed. Like the 60-70 blob with like all the casters inside it, like teleporting around with TMP. That's all like not possible anymore for multiple reasons. So I think Night Goblin shooting is a lot less good, and I think we're maybe going to see a little bit more of like the aggression list with Wyverns and maybe Black Orcs with the red Brackley flag again. Now that infantry got a little bit better. So Orcs and Goblins definitely got good options still, but like their main strong list, the Night Goblin shooting list, is nerfed very hard. So that's not great for them. Fanatics also got nerfed in the sense that during fleeing or during marching column you can't release them anymore. So it's not a hit, it's not a big one, but it's still another Fnatic nerf. So they lost a few things, didn't get a lot back, so doesn't sound great for them. Then Chaos Dwarfs got kind of the same, like their main good units, Iron Demons, and like the wizard casting Storm of Ash hasn't really changed much, except that you only get the +2 right now, but I think that's, like, everybody got that, so it's sort of level. I think it's kind of fine. The required infantry they had to take got kind of better. They can still take like orcs in their army, so I think mostly the same for Chaos Dwarfs. I think Dark Elves are a winner. I think like a magic missile spam list got better, because like level 1 and level 2 wizards with the summoning and stuff like that could be strong. I think their dragons, you can also write pretty good dragons for under 500 points in Dark Elves. So I think in that stuff they are a winner. And they also have a good infantry unit with like the with the Night Elves and the Death Hack with the Ogre Blade and Hatred and everything barreling down on you. So I think yeah, they like sort of all the stuff they wanted got better, and they are not really hit by any serious nerfs. So I think it's just all good for them. Didn't have any poison, so it's definitely strong for them. Then Ogre Kingdoms stay basically the same. No more Ogre Blade plus Talisman of Protection, but their main issue, namely that they're very bad against Killing Blow, remains. And for the rest, yeah, there are no big changes. I think Lizardmen are a serious loser. Poison nerfs hit skinks very hard. I think the Bastillons are a little bit better now because they get +2 to cast. Engine of the Gods, because they're also like power level 2 or 3 out of the top of my head, might be even better now. Maybe even taking a Skink Priest with them might be good, because it will be very much harder to dispel them. It's like a 15-inch fireball, because it was 15 inches, it was very easily dispelled because you didn't get the +4. But now that dispelling is also less strong, it's definitely stronger now. So that's definitely interesting. I think skinks are still going to be good at objectives and stuff like that, but poison being nurtured will be very annoying for them. And I think Bastillons are stronger, but net they are a loser, I think. Well, the Wood Elves kind of keep nerfing. Pillar is of course a very big deal for them, that they cannot take that anymore. They cannot get Sister of Return and pick their spell, like for example the Cafe Sentinels can. They have to randomize it, which makes the unit just a lot less good, because they can just get a shitty spell and then you don't really have much use out of them. Especially poison being nerfed for them. Like their entire army could take poison, and now it just does less damage. And they were already lacking damage. And when you're lacking damage and you get even less damage, that's not good. Their dragon also can also get kind of expensive, with the Ogre Blade being like a mainstay option of them, which you cannot do it anymore. Like Ogre Blade Talisman of Protection is definitely something you saw on them, maybe with like the -1 to hit in challenges thing. Yeah, it loses all around, with poison nerf being the biggest nerf. So it's a struggle for the Wood Elf players out there, and maybe um, in your Arcane Journal you can find something that works, but I'm not seeing it for sure. Same for Chaos Demons. Their main issue remains magical attacks and the fact that they just do not have access to the normal magical items, and they lack good units. Like a Bloodthirst is just expensive as a dragon, but only 6 wounds, so a lot easier to kill, with Furies being like the only real strong unit we see. But yeah, it's just not great. No really relevant changes for them. With Skaven, we see still just a lack of strong units. Their infantry got a little bit better, but now you get 2 ranks of like shitty rats fighting, so I don't think it's a big change. They also tried to abuse like poison with gutter runners. That was like some of the more effective lists that I saw, and that also got worse because poison got worse. So that's even though there might be a small winner, I think they're still the bottom army of the game, and they're still not strong at all. So general overview of the changes. I think they're great changes. I think they'll make the game a lot more fun and give us a new puzzle to solve. I think melee infantry, I've seen a lot of people from, they're gonna counter dragons, and if you get your dragon in combat, you just kill my unit champion and then have like 10 static combat CR, and you only get 1 or 2 wounds. So I'm still going to beat you. I think the main problem infantry has, namely that they're slow, is still very much a thing. Like they move 8, a dragon moves like 18 or 20 a turn. So you do not really get to pick your engagements while dragons do. But still, before, like a dragon could just easily munch up on infantry. That will be harder now with all the CR. So they will maybe like be able to create some spaces where dragons cannot come or cannot really attack them, and they can. A lot of melee infantry is of course core, so they can score the new objectives, which is definitely valuable. So I think they have a clear job in the game, more CR, so they might be viable. Which is cool, with some already good infantry and mainly Graveguard being absolutely powered to the max right now. Poison blobs, especially, I think are essentially nerfed out of the game. Once again, I think actually the farming in 2 ranks against large targets is actually bigger than the +2 to wound thing or auto wound thing. Along with TMP being removed will be a very big change. And that also sort of links into dragons. The dragons are like nerfed a little bit. I didn't mention like the fly changes, that you cannot use it for pursuit anymore, for example. But sort of my hot take out of this is because dragons were nerfed a little bit, I think, but some dragons are not really nerfed much at all, because they were in 500 points to begin with, and their like main predator, those being poison blobs, being gone. Yeah, so that maybe they still get to rule the roost, and we still have a very dragon-focused game, maybe even more so than before. And what we're going to see is that magic is a lot less strong than before and a lot less consistent, and that level 1 or 2 could be considered, and I think a level 3 Wizard is going to be maybe even a mainstay in gameplay right now, because they cost just as good as level 4s. Basically, level 4 is now a 30 point +1 spell item, which I have to see how it goes. For me, the big unknown is all the bound items in the game. Bound items with power level 3 are suddenly very good, so look in your books where you have them, because they used to be very hard to cast and now they're very easy to cast. I think it's an interesting new frontier with a lot of new opportunities and new possibilities, and I'm very interested to see how the games will go, and I'm very happy with the changes. Thanks for watching, and maybe see you again next time.